Welcome back, everyone. No matter where you are, no matter what time it may be. I hope y'all are doing well out there. Before we start tonight's upload, I want you to think about something that most people never consider. We grow up learning the names of everything around us, the animals, the tracks they leave, the sounds they make in the dark. We convince ourselves the world is all mapped out. Everything's documented and predictable. But anyone who lives or spends time outside the comfort of streetlights knows the truth. There are things out there that don't fit any of those categories. Not monsters, not legends, just things. Things that aren't supposed to be here, but they are. People see them in different places, at different times, under different circumstances, and the stories never match. They don't behave the same way. They don't all look the same. They don't even move the same. The only thing these encounters share is the part no one wants to say out loud. Some things in this world don't have names, and maybe they're not meant to. Tonight's encounters come from people who never asked for answers. They never got explanations, never found a label that made sense. They simply saw something that they can't explain, and kept it to themselves until now. I want to thank you for being here, and thank you for listening. Before I get started, I want to remind you, if you've had an encounter of your own and would like to share it here on the channel, be sure and reach out to me. Send me an email. I'd love to hear from you. My email address will be linked in the description below this video. Alright, legends, lock in, and let's begin. Everyone grab a drink, lock your doors and windows, hit the lights, and let's get started. If you're reading this, it means I finally worked up the nerve to talk about something I've kept buried for most of my life. I'm not looking for attention from anyone. I'm not trying to convince anybody of anything. I just don't want this to disappear when I leave this earth. My name is not important. Where this happened isn't important either, other than it was deep in the Appalachian Mountains, not near any trails, not near a campsite, just real nowhere. I grew up in southeastern Kentucky. I was 17 at the time of this. My older brother was 23. Now we grew up in these hills. Camping wasn't an adventure for us. It was just normal life. If you grew up here, you understand what I mean. We had a dog with us that night. A pit we named Titan. He was about 100 to 110 pounds of pure raw muscle. Loyal as they come. Very smart, too. We set up camp near the ridge. We cooked and joked around. Everything was completely normal. There was no creepy feelings, no signs of anything wrong. The only thing we ever feared, and it wasn't really fear, it was just awareness. Predators. Normal ones that we'd been taught about. Bears were unheard of in this area back then. And the big cat theory, no one had spoken of this or anyone seen one. The main issues were just coyote, and mostly it was snakes. Rattlesnakes, copperheads, those were the big dangers of the woods. So as long as you pay attention to where your foot drops, there's not much to worry about. Sometime in the middle of the night, I woke up because something was walking around outside our tent. I noticed immediately that this was 2 feet, not 4. That alone just didn't make sense to me. There was no flashlight, no talking, no snapping of sticks or crunching of leaves. There was nothing that would sound like a person, just circling, except for the 2 footsteps. There was just no way, as remote as we were, that there was another person out here, especially walking around in the dark. Titan heard it and went stiff like a board. His hair was up. He was growling in a way that I'd never heard from him in my life. Me and my brother grabbed our guns because that's just what you do here. Not because of monsters or any of that nonsense. Just humans, or the occasional predator that I spoke of earlier wanders too close. We unzipped the tent. Before we could stop him, Titan shot out like a rocket, and whatever was out there took off running. I wish I could tell you that I saw it, but I didn't. All I know is the speed it moved at didn't match anything I'm aware of that is in the woods before or since. Whatever it was barely made noise going through the brush that should have sounded like a trash truck. Titan chased this thing hard, and we chased him because we were worried about him getting lost or hurt out there in the dark. He was a family member, not just a pet. He got way ahead of us fast. His barking got fainter and fainter as we went. By the time we reached the ridge, he'd gone all the way up and maybe over the other side. We were completely out of breath, yelling for him to come back. Now that dog always listened. He was well trained. Except for that night. Something kept him on the move. Halfway up the ridge, everything just stopped. The barking, the running, the sound of him moving. Silence hit those woods so hard my ears rang. My brother, the toughest man I've ever known, stuck his arm and hand out and motioned for me to stop. There was no yelling, no running, just total stillness. That scared me, worse than anything. I turned off my flashlight. I was dead quiet. And so was the surrounding woods. There was no bugs, no wind. Everything had stopped. About 30 seconds pass, and then I don't even have the words for the sound we heard. I will try my best. It wasn't a bear. This was not some kind of cat. It wasn't human. It was like something out of a Jurassic Park movie, and I'm not kidding. It was a deep, vibrating roar with a pitch under it that just mashed you right in your chest. It instantly covered you with fear, goosebumps, and dread. And this escalated very quickly. Out of nowhere, a giant, dead log. It had to be at least 200 to 300 pounds. It came crashing down the ridge right at us. It wasn't rolling, this thing was flying through the air. It slammed so close to us we both hit the ground. Me and my brother didn't say a word, we were shocked. We just grabbed each other and got behind the biggest tree we could find for cover. A few seconds later, something else starts rolling down the hill. We didn't know if it was another log or a giant boulder, but we took cover behind the trees. It wasn't another log. It wasn't a rock. It was Titan. I'm not going into details out of respect for him and because there's no reason for anyone to picture what we saw. I'll just say this. Whatever killed my dog did it instantly, quietly, and with a kind of strength that just doesn't make sense for any animal in these woods. My brother didn't hesitate. He said we need to go, and we need to go now. Listen to everything I tell you, and we'll get out of here. He made me run in front of him, and he stayed a short distance behind me in case whatever it was decided to come after us. He wanted me to be safe. We didn't hear anything chase us. There were no more sounds, just the woods staying silent in a way that didn't feel natural. We left our tent, all of our stuff, everything behind, and didn't stop until daylight. I'm 40 years old now. My brother's still alive, but he's serving time. He refuses to talk about that night, won't even admit that it happened. If I bring it up, he laughs like I'm stupid for believing any of it. But I was there, so was he, and we both know damn well what fear looks like on each other's face. Shortly after it happened, I told my grandfather what went down. He was the only man I ever truly respected. He didn't interrupt me, not once. He just listened, and when I was done, I'll never forget what he said. He said, "Son, I've lived here all my life. I've seen everything that walks or crawls in these hills. But there are some things out there that don't have a name. They don't need one. That's just part of living out here and living this life. You'll see things you can't explain. Just let it go. You're not meant to know everything." And then he told me something else. Something I carry to this day. And it's a very good piece of advice. Some people aren't built for what's out there. I never argued with him again after that. I'm not writing this for sympathy. I'm not writing this to convince people of monsters. I'm just doing this so the memory doesn't disappear when I do. Now, I know whatever we ran into wasn't a bear. There were no bears in that area. It wasn't a person. No one can move that quick, and no one can show that kind of strength. It wasn't anything I've ever seen in my entire life growing up in these mountains. It was something else, something real, and that's the only truth I've got to give you. Thanks, Anonymous. Reals. I'm not going to bore you with a bunch of things you probably don't care about. I'm not very good at telling this. I've told it a few times, but no one ever really truly listens. I don't care if anyone else believes it or not. I know you will. I'm only sending this in to possibly help someone else if they find themselves in a similar situation. My encounter took place in a small town in Midland County, Michigan. I was 17 or 18 years old. There was never nothing exciting happening out there. I wasn't out hiking in the woods. I wasn't camping in a place I shouldn't be. I wasn't doing anything crazy. I was literally just walking my girlfriend home because she didn't want to go alone. She lived maybe a mile and a half from me. It's a real quiet area. It's kind of back roadish. Woods on both sides a lot of the way. We weren't fighting or arguing or anything. We were actually in a good mood and talking about high school stuff. I remember that because nothing felt weird at all until we passed this one stretch where the trees grow up over the road like a tunnel. Right when we got under that part, I heard something above us, not behind us, not in front, not anywhere around us. It was overhead, in the trees. As far as wildlife that climbs up into the trees, I thought raccoon. So I didn't even look up, we just kept walking. As we kept moving and it continued to move, this time, whatever it was, it kept pace with us. Like, exactly. When we'd slow down, it would slow down. When we stopped talking, it stopped moving. When we sped up, it sped up. I finally looked up because it was way too big or heavy to be a raccoon. I didn't see anything at first. It was dark, but it wasn't pitch black. A street light from a few houses back was barely lighting the tops of the trees. I told my girlfriend to hold up, and she asked me what was wrong. I told her something is up there in the trees. She grabbed my arm like she thought I was messing with her. We kept walking because we didn't really know what else to do. Standing there just felt foolish. It started moving again, but not like an animal. It didn't climb branch to branch. It didn't rustle leaves. It was like, I don't even know how to say this. It pushed off one tree and landed into another, and the whole tree bent under the weight for a second. That's when I stopped dead. The tree literally bowed. My girlfriend said, "What is that?" And I had no answer. She started shaking, and I told her, "Just walk. Don't run. Not until I say." I looked up one more time, and that's when I finally saw what was making the sounds. Not the whole thing, but I did see the face. It was crouched on a branch and reminded me of a giant spider. Its arms and legs were bent in weird shapes for anything natural. It was long, thin but strong. Its back was hunched up higher than its head. I couldn't make out fur or color because it was blending in with the branches, but its shape was definitely a canine. Well, the head, anyway. It looked like a werewolf perched in a tree, if that does it any justice. It wasn't hanging there. It wasn't climbing. It was perched, balanced, still, and it was watching us. I told my girlfriend to just keep walking and do not look up, no matter what. Of course, she didn't listen. She looked up immediately. She gasped so loud that it was loud enough that whatever was up there twitched, like it was about to move again. I don't know how we didn't run. I don't know how we didn't pass out. I just kept walking like my legs were made of wood. We finally got out from under that tree tunnel and into the open. There were street lights and houses, and it felt safer instantly. I thought maybe it would stay in the woods. Unfortunately, it didn't. It jumped again, landing in the last tree on the edge of the woods. The whole thing shook, and it was a pretty good-sized tree. That was the last time I saw its outline. After that, it just stopped. No more movement. I didn't see it again. That's when we started running the last 2 blocks to her house. She was crying. I was shaking. I couldn't even get my words out. I called for my dad to pick me up when I made it to her house. There's no way I was walking back after that. I couldn't sleep for days, and I didn't walk that road again for almost a year. I still don't know what it was. I know what it wasn't. It wasn't a person, and it wasn't a raccoon or a cat. It sure as hell wasn't something that should be able to jump from tree to tree without touching the ground. Do these dogmen things do this? Can they climb trees? Any answers would be very appreciated. I don't care what anyone chooses to name these things. They all seem to be very different from what I've heard. All I know is it was up there, and it was following us. And if it had wanted to drop down on us, it could have done it easily. I don't need to name it to know it was real. That's the scary part. These creatures do exist, and they do not care if you see them. Anonymous. Reels. In my encounter, I was 16. I live in a tiny town up in northern Minnesota. There's not much to it. A few gas stations, a school, some houses, then nothing but trees and swamp for miles. I was walking home from a friend's place around 10 or 11 at night. We were just hanging out, playing games, and I didn't want to bother his parents for a ride. The walk is a straight shot down a back road with some woods around. I'd done it plenty of times. It wasn't even spooky out, but it was cold. That kind of Minnesota quiet and cold that just feels normal. It's just the way it is. I got about halfway home when I heard something behind me. It wasn't footsteps, it was more like breathing. It wasn't close, it was far enough back that I didn't freak out. I just turned around expecting to see a deer or something in the ditch, but I didn't see anything, so I just continued on walking. That's when things got really weird. Something came up beside me, not on the road but in the woods to my right. I should have heard leaves crunching or some type of noise, but there was nothing. It was just movement, silent movement. The only way I can describe it is the way it kept pace with me. Like if I stopped or moved faster, it would match me. It did the same thing I did, every single movement, down to a T. I thought maybe it was the wind or my mind just messing with me, so I stopped walking on purpose, just stopped cold. Whatever was beside me did not stop this time. It shot forward, fast, and then suddenly slowed down again so it was right next to me, except I didn't hear anything. It was just this weird whooshing sound like air getting pushed out of the way. I stood there not wanting to move because the woods are thick there, and even a rabbit, something small, makes noise when it's tearing through that brush. But this thing wasn't tearing through anything. It was moving like there was nothing in its path. I finally forced myself to look into the trees. I couldn't see much detail, but I saw the face and body a bit. I could see something dark moving between the trees, and the way it moved just didn't sit right with me, and I couldn't categorize it. It wasn't jumping, it wasn't even walking. This thing was gliding, almost like it was floating above the ground. Smooth, fast, very strange, something you don't expect to see. Something your brain cannot deal with when you do see it. There was no up and down motion like a normal thing moving or running. There was no rhythm. The only reason I even knew where it was coming from was it broke the moonlight every time it passed between the trees. It was a solid shape. It was fast as hell, just gliding through the woods like the ground didn't even exist. I don't really feel as I need to describe what this thing looked like to anyone here. It looked like that Anubis thing from the Egyptian paintings. I wanted to run, but I knew if I did and it could move like that, it'd be on me in a second. So I did the opposite and just walked, very slowly, just normal. Whatever it was stayed right beside me the whole time. It didn't attack, it never left. It just kept up with me like it was walking me home, like it was escorting me out of the area. I hit the last stretch where the woods end and the houses start. As soon as the trees opened up, it stopped. It wouldn't come out into the open. It refused to leave those trees. It just halted like someone pressed pause. I took maybe 10 more steps and looked back. Nothing was moving. There was no outline, no shape, and no sound. The second I got inside the house, my legs just gave out. I had this very strange feeling all over my body. I can't really describe to you how I felt, but it wasn't normal. I don't even know how I stayed calm outside because the second I shut the door, it hit me how wrong that whole thing was. It was like I'd just survived a life or death situation, and I didn't even know why I was in danger. I could just feel it. My dad came in and asked me why my face was so white. I told him I tripped on ice. I didn't know how to open up and say something ran beside me in the woods without even touching the ground. I'm older now, and I still walked that road all the time. I never seen it again, but I wouldn't recommend walking it at night anymore. That one time was enough. This had to be a dog man by the way it looked, the way it was shaped. What confuses me is I want to believe these are physical living creatures, but physical living things can't float above the ground. I don't know. I'm just as confused and lost as anyone else. I have no idea. All I know is it was there. I saw it. It was right there beside me. I looked at it with my own eyes. I felt the dread. I felt the fear. And I sure felt the evil. Thanks. I appreciate it. Anonymous. Hello, Reels. I really don't know why I'm even sending this in. Every time I've told it before, I end up feeling stupid, and everyone around me laughs and acts like I'm lying or I'm some kind of crazy person. And the people who were with me don't want to verify or talk about it either. I'm not here for validation or anyone to make me feel better. You can't convince me it wasn't something real because I wasn't the only one there, and they saw it as well. The thing is, they won't talk about it, and I think they do that to protect their mental state. I can't blame them. It's definitely something that will mess with you for a very long time. The thought, the memory will just hit me out of nowhere. I won't even be thinking about it, and it'll just creep in and ruin my entire day. Anyways, I live in West Texas, not the nice part with the cities, the open part. Flat land, mesquite trees, dry wind, and old ranch fences that just seem to go on for eternity. There's a small cemetery outside my town. Everyone knows about it. Kids talk about it like it's haunted, but no one actually sees anything. It's just one of those places people dare each other to go when it's dark. I was 17 back then. 2 of my friends were 17 as well. We weren't drunk, we weren't high, we weren't trying to summon demons or anything dumb like that. We were just bored. Someone at school had said they heard crying in the cemetery one night. One of my friends said that story was BS, so the other person that claimed to hear it dared us to go out after dark. So we decided to check it out and prove these people wrong. Big mistake. It was around 11 at night. It was clear out. The moon was actually full. You could see the headstones perfectly without even using a flashlight. At first, everything seemed like a normal cemetery. It was creepy, but again, normal. We walked around for a bit, read some of the older stones, messed around. The first thing weird was the wind. All of a sudden just stopped. Like someone turned it off, like they could control it with a light switch. I'll try to describe it. It's not easy. But West Texas is never that quiet. There's always wind. And I mean always. My friend, Jake, that's not his real name, he said, "Okay, that's pretty weird." I laughed at him, but then I heard something move behind us. It was like something dragging itself across the ground. We turned around, expecting to be in the presence of a stray dog or something. There's tons of them out there. but there was nothing visible. So we just kept going, thinking nothing of it. I wish we'd took it serious and just left right then. We were young and dumb and wanted to prove something. We wanted to prove that there was nothing weird out there. We reached the middle row of headstones when I saw something move again. Not from the side, but between two graves. It was like something crawling through them instead of around them. I thought my eyes were playing tricks on me because the movement was something I'd never seen before except in movies. It was very low, very smooth. I told the guys to stop talking. I didn't think they understood at first. I don't think they did. Then it moved again. This time we all saw it. All of us. Something was crawling across the cemetery, almost flat to the ground. Its stomach was nearly touching the dirt. Its elbows and knees were sticking out of the sides. It was bent in a way that just didn't look human or animal. This thing was weird. It was almost crawling like a spider, but this thing was huge. I don't hear any sounds at all, or I don't remember hearing sounds. The moon hit it once when it passed between two of the taller stones, and all three of us saw how long its limbs were. They were just way too long. I would have thought for a second that this could have been those other kids out here trying to prank us because they knew we were coming out. But the limbs, the size, there's no way. None of us said a word. We just stood there like morons watching it move. It wasn't coming in our direction. It wasn't moving away from us either. It was weaving between the headstones like it was looking for something. Every time it stopped, the whole cemetery felt like it was trapped in a bubble, almost like a vacuum. At one point, it lifted its head barely, and it looked like it was sniffing the air. It had pointed ears, a very long canine-shaped snout. It had the head of a giant German shepherd. I never saw its eyes. I didn't see its face, not directly. I did see all these shapes, though. It was very easy to make out. It never once stood on its back legs. It stayed flat like that, crawling, its elbows out, moving fast in short, silent bursts like it was stalking something that we couldn't see. One of my friends started to cry, which made me panic worse, because he was one of the ones that was acting more tough than any of us. He was actually the one that wanted to do this. He's the one that doesn't get scared about anything. No one said run, but we all did at the same time. We took off out of there so fast I don't even remember climbing over the fence. I think we just cleared it without even thinking. We kept running until we were back in town under the lights. No one spoke a word. No one said anything for the rest of that night. We all just went our separate ways and went home. The next day we met up and all agreed not to tell anyone because we knew exactly how it would sound. 3 dumb teenagers playing ghost hunters and scaring themselves. Except we didn't scare ourselves. Something was really out there, crawling between the graves like it belonged there. To this day, I don't know what we saw. I've tried to convince myself it was just some type of big dog, but I know that's not true. No dog on earth is that big, and it can't move like that. I'm embarrassed even writing this out, but it's true, and it's stuck in my head. It has been since that happened. I'm tired of carrying this around and staying stuck in my head by myself. I need to know that someone believes me. I need anyone to believe me. I needed to tell this. Reels, if you use this, I hope that people believe me. I hope that they take caution when out at nighttime, especially around the woods or cemeteries. I've heard other encounters where these things linger around graveyards or cemeteries, and sometimes burial grounds. I don't know why they would do this, but it seems to be a thing. I just want everyone to be safe and not feel like they're alone. Anonymous, West Texas. Reels. I'm not sending this to you for you to read on the channel, and I'm not looking for anyone to give me answers to questions that I don't think even has an answer. I don't really care to know what people's opinions are on this situation. There's no getting around what I saw. There's no misidentification. There's no putting a name to it. There's just no explaining this. It happened in Delaware about 5 years ago. I was 22 back then. My girlfriend was 20. We lived in a neighborhood that wasn't really what you'd call fancy. It was just some older houses with some small yards and a couple patches of trees between blocks. We had been arguing pretty much that whole night. Stupid relationship stuff. It wasn't really dramatic, just we were both stressed and talking it out with each other. We decided to take a walk instead of sitting inside screaming at each other. It was around 10 p.m., maybe 10:30. It was not late enough to feel unsafe, but late enough that the street was empty and quiet. We were walking down the sidewalk on Cedar Lane, still arguing, but calmer, when I noticed something was off. I didn't hear the normal stuff. I didn't even hear cars in the distance, no TVs from open windows, no dogs barking. It's like we were the only ones on the planet at the time. And I almost forgot this happened in Delaware, by the way. Legends, I think this guy was nervous. I'm pretty sure he mentioned it was in Delaware in the beginning. I don't even know why I looked up at the time. I didn't think much of it or say anything because I thought I was just tired from the argument. We got near this older house on the left, a 2-story house with white siding. Nobody we knew lived there. There was a big oak tree beside it and a street light across the road, so the roof line should have been easy to see. I don't even know why, but I looked up. I just did. Something was standing on the roof of that house. It wasn't sitting. It wasn't crouching. It was standing there. Its chest was really wide. It was very tall. It looked like its arms were hanging down a little too low. But the part that was really weird was the way it was turned. It wasn't turned toward the street, not toward the door, but angled toward us. My girlfriend just kept talking until she realized I wasn't responding. She looked at me, and then looked where I was looking, and her whole face changed. She grabbed onto me so hard that her nails dug in and left marks. Now this next part, describing what we saw, is the hardest part for me. This is the part that sounds like something out of a movie or someone makes up just for attention. But I swear on my life, what I'm about to tell you was real. It was shaped like a big, lean, muscular man, but the legs were bent back the wrong way. The head was German Shepherd shaped, but it was absolutely huge. The head looked like it was too big for the body, even though the body was huge itself. It wasn't moving a muscle. It never moved in any way. It was just staring dead at us, like a statue on the roof. I didn't feel scared the way normal fear works. I felt disconnected, like my body registered danger, but my mind wasn't sure of what I was seeing. My brain wasn't sure if I should be scared, but my body was screaming, "You are in danger." My girlfriend asked, "What is that?" I had no idea how to answer her. I don't know if I could if I wanted, 'cause my mouth wouldn't work. When it finally did move, it didn't ease into it. This thing, in a split second, just launched itself like it had shoes on made out of trampolines. It jumped off that roof so hard the whole house shook. It didn't fall or jump like a person, it propelled itself forward, like it was diving into the air. It hit the ground once, just once, and then vanished into the trees behind the house. No sound after that. We just stood there staring at the spot where it disappeared to. My girlfriend was completely wrecked. I could see tears pouring down her face like she was in shock. She probably was, because so was I. I didn't cry. I didn't run. I just felt numb, detached, like what I saw just was something from another world. My brain just refused to process it the normal way. We walked home without talking. We broke up a week later. It wasn't because of that night, but I think it added something between us that neither of us could deal with. I've never even been near that house again. It's not because I'm scared, just because every time I think about it, I feel the same numb, unreal sensation wash over me. I can't tell you for sure what was on that roof. It wasn't something normal, that's why I can't be sure of telling you. I don't know why it was watching us, and I don't know why it moved like that. But I do know what I saw, and I know that that's something that we humans are not meant to see. As soon as we saw it, it made itself disappear. That tells me that we're not supposed to see these things. If you ever find yourself in the wrong place at the wrong time, and one of these things is near, I'll pray for you, because you'll never be the same if you see it. A. Delaware. Friends, legends, family. What you all heard tonight came from 5 completely different people, in 5 completely different places, but every encounter pointed to the same uncomfortable truth. The world isn't as simple as we pretend it is. These things can show up anywhere, and everyone thinks, "Oh, this person's crazy," or "They're making this up. This is silly." I used to think that as well. But if you ever find yourself in one of these situations, you'll understand more about why these people feel the way they feel. We all like to act like everything has a category, a species, a name we can put on a chart somewhere. But the people who've seen the edges of this world, the places without headlights, without crowds, without walls, they know better. Some things out there don't introduce themselves. They don't leave tracks in the ways we understand. They don't move like the animals we know. And they sure as hell don't care whether we can explain them or not. Now, I know most people will go their whole lives without ever realizing how thin that line really is. The one between the normal world and whatever else is out there watching from the dark. But for a handful of people, the ones who sent these stories, that line was gone the moment they saw what they saw. Whatever you choose to believe is your business. I'm not here to convince anyone of anything. I'm just here to keep the record straight. so these encounters don't die in someone's memory, hidden away because they're too scared or too strange to mention. They don't want to be laughed at. You're not laughed at here. I will not allow it. If you have something you've been carrying, something you've never told anyone, you can send it in. I'll read it. Before you go, do me a favor. Hit the like button. Share this with someone you trust. And if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel. All these things help out more than you know. To everyone who sent in their encounters tonight, thank you for trusting me. And to the channel members who keep this place alive, you know who you are, and I appreciate you more than I can say here. And to the listeners as well, you guys are the backbone of the channel. Without you, none of this is possible. That's going to do it for this one. Legends, take care of yourselves. Take care of each other. Please, stay safe out there. I love each and every one of you. And until next time, my friends, watch over your loved ones. Keep your head on a swivel. And don't forget to look up. Good night.